And you're listening to the Bears, Birds, and Brews podcast with your hosts, Asif and Nabil.
Hell yeah. What's up?
How's it going?
And you are Aaron Williams.
Yes, I am.
Of Crafted Consulting.
Yes, sir.
And we got beer. Look at that. Listen to that pour.
Sounds crisp.
That's a beautiful thing right there.
That's a beautiful thing. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Welcome to the Bears, Birds, and Brews podcast. This is a show about Chicago Bears, the Atlanta Falcons, and craft beer. Y'all know who we are. That is Mr. Aaron Williams. Thank you all for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple, Google Play. We got a lot to talk about on today's episode, such as the state of the beer industry and the craft brewing industry in response to the pandemic, where things were when we started the pandemic, lockdowns in March and April versus where we are now in summer 2020. We also got some football news to talk about, some Seattle stuff to talk about, some Falcons stuff to talk about. Lots of good stuff on today's episode. But first things first, like we do with every episode, what beer are we drinking, y'all?
So this was brought to us by Aaron. Aaron, tell us about this.
Yeah, this one is a new contender. It is a rotating hop series, hazy IPA from Second Self in downtown Atlanta. And what they do is they basically pick two hops. They brew beers with them, and then they pick what their favorite one is, and they brew the next one with that hop, and then have a new one. So it kind of keeps going and going and going. So this one has Idaho 7 and El Dorado hops.
Okay.
You know, juicy floral hoppy, packing a punch because it's a boxing themed.
And this is kind of pretty easy drinking as well. It's
Mhm.
it's not too heavy.
No, it's not. It's not super hazy. I like to call these unfiltered more than I do hazy because I think hazy implies it's just opaque and you can't see anything. It's you can see there's a it's a little bit of clarity in it, but it's not super hazy out there. But it's got let's see, I've just got 6.5%, so pretty easy drinking beer.
There we go. There we go. Crushable.
There you go.
And we did actually crack one open before we started. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, this is from our friends at Contrast Artisan Nails. So shout out to those.
Not
guys.
too far down the road from here.
No, absolutely. Shout out to my friend James and Chase down there. Sunny's IPA. It's their Galaxy and Pink Boots Ben and Citra IPA. Again, 5.5%. Super easy drinking IPA as well. So I guess we're kicking it off on the IPA front, but we've got some dark stuff in there too.
There we go.
Oh yeah, just going the natural progression of things, right?
Yeah,
100%.
All right. So as we're drinking, Aaron, catch everybody up. What have you been up to?
Oh man, it's been crazy. It's I think everyone's of course has their story about what's happening in the COVID lockdown, and I distinctly remember kind of a life-changing event almost for me was this lockdown. And I remember being at work, and of course previously I worked at Monday Night Brewing, working in marketing there, and I remember seeing that the ACC basketball tournament got off at halftime.
Right.
That day I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
That was nuts.
Yeah. So we basically kind of figured out, I was like, all right, well, let's figure out work from home, yada, yada, yada. And like, okay, so I just grabbed a few things and went home thinking that we'd be, back in a week or whatever, or less than a week. And then, like literally immediately, like almost after that, Monday Night Brewing basically furloughed the entire staff. And so I was on furlough for about 5 weeks, and I was able to do some thinking and kind of able to do a lot of kind of soul searching with my wife and I. And, we're lucky. Eve's got a great job. My wife, she's awesome. Works for USA Today, Gannett. And, she worked hard covering stories, covering video for USA Today. And she was working from home, just working crazy hours because, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news. And we kind of realized, we're like, kind of crunched the numbers, realized we're like, you know what? We got 3 kids, and they all have different levels of needs. And especially with digital learning and having to do with all of that stuff, we're like, gosh, our life the way it was before was kind of unsustainable. I live in Gwinnett, and so it was a 2-hour drive for me to go from my house to work, and then another 2-hour commute coming back. Because traffic is crazy. And we're like, when this whole lockdown thing happens, like we can't do this anymore. So ran the numbers, and we're like, you know what? We're good if I just kind of backed off, kind of took a back seat and helped out with the kids, became the house husband, and did some consulting work, and not have to go into work every day, and just basically be a dad more than anything else. And so went ahead and about a month and a half ago, took the jump and started doing some consulting work full time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem like forever ago?
It does. It really does. I was just thinking about it. It's first of the month, of course, is kind of billing time for us. And I was like, gosh, I've done this 3 times now. So it's, it's kind of weird, but it's just, March seems like forever ago. Now we're running into July, the second half of the year. And it's like, my gosh, it's like,
well,
it's crazy.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
This is awesome that you're doing this. And look, you already picked up a couple of clients, which is amazing. So
yeah, it's been great. I kind of reached out to some people that I've known across the industry for a few years now. And, I'm working with the guys at Dry County Brewing up in Kennesaw, and I'm also working with Second Self Brewing in Atlanta, as well as a couple of other clients that I'm kind of working with too. But it's really cool. I'm able to kind of guide them and work with them. And I always kind of say that I'm Crafted Consulting is kind of like a middleman, so to speak, where it's like, that you've got a lot of marketing things to do. There's so much to do these days with social media, website design, doing like product launches. You want to make sure that you're doing it right. There's so many breweries out there for competition. Like they want to kind of, you kind of want to be able to raise your hand and say, hey, we're out here, we're making great beer. And nowadays with so many breweries, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. So, who's going to do that for you? And for a lot of breweries, it's like, well, the owner can't do it because he's doing owner stuff, right? He's doing 8 million things. And I can't hire a full-time guy. It's like, I just can't afford a full-time salary for someone to do that. And I don't want to hire like some intern or some part-time person to do it. So, I kind of help step in the forefront there, where it's like, all right, you got somebody who's a professional, knows what they're doing. Spend a few hours of, on this kind of stuff and actually thinking about your marketing and your marketing strategy. And then you can just do owner stuff, and the taproom can do taproom stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is what you need to do, and organize things and hopefully make sure that their products and their brewery is kind of portrayed in the best light, gets to get the word out there for some of their new releases and kind of get the hype going and hopefully kind of build their business that way. So
nice. No, like, hey, that's awesome that, you saw that, you could do something like that and you went about it and you're already doing it. That's amazing. Especially in this climate right now. That's the other amazing part.
Yeah. It's, it's a little scary. It's funny. Entrepreneurship does not run in the family. My dad was career Navy. My grandparents always worked, the 30, 40 years in a gold watch type of thing. It's like, I've never had an entrepreneurial person in the family. So
it's weird. No one runs in my family either.
Yeah.
But it's just running.
It's weird, but it's like, it's like, I've got some leeway, but it's like, you just kind of keep up and just keep going, and, and we'll see how it works, and we'll give it a while. And, maybe a couple years down the road, I'll have to actually get a real job again. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy doing what I do. It's great.
Nice. So with, all these breweries and everything that you're working with right now, you may have the best idea of the current market of like in the breweries. Like, what is the current market of breweries in Atlanta, in the United States, and just in general? Like,
it depends. And I think, and it's been very interesting watching the news and seeing what's been developing, across the country. It's different. We've got COVID-19, wreaking havoc in some states, some not so much. We've got governors and governments locking down certain states, others kind of being a little more open, like we are here in Georgia. And then other states like Texas, just locked down their bars and breweries again. If they were open for a few weeks and they closed them right down. Here in Georgia and here in the Atlanta metro area, I think everything is slowly starting to come back. I think most of the breweries are open. I think all of them are, as far as I know, or at least in some capacity. The ones that have some seating space are doing so, again, cautiously, a lot of open air seating. And if they have any indoor seating, they'll socially distance from each other and do that kind of thing. I know, for example, Contrast, like I was there the other day, they don't have a lot of space inside of their tap room. So they basically just have a to-go stand. And that's it too. A lot of folks are still relying on that to-go tap room, to-go model from their tap room.
Well, it's proved to be profitable with some breweries, right?
Yeah, and it's been a great way for them to kind of just put all that product in cans and let them, go. And it's not the greatest climate to do that here in Georgia. There's a lot of states that allow delivery, for example.
Right.
We don't have that, but it's been really cool to see that. And it's a way for people to support their local breweries without having to actually go in and buy a pint. They'll go in, buy a case and say, oh, this is awesome. And then come back and it all goes back to the breweries, which has been great so far. So.
Right. And I've seen like certain apps like pop up. Like, I don't know how old this app is, but like Craft Cellar has been blowing up everywhere right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Craft Cellar is great for new releases, and that's a really great app for beer nerds in general, because it kind of gives them the first run at a lot of the new and the hype beers that are kind of out there as well. I know Eric, the president there, I'm going to name drop. So,
Oh snap!
but yeah,
Hey, how about you bring Eric on with
I
you?
can. You know what? I absolutely can. Next time, I'm going to have to do that because he's got really good beers.
There we go.
Networking. But yeah, so stuff like that where you can kind of order online or at least reserve your bottles online.
Yeah.
We're kind of all the breweries are kind of finding different ways to do it. When I was with Monday Night, we kind of used our merch app that we'd usually sell shirts and hats and all that kind of stuff to actually sell beer to go. So a lot of breweries have kind of done that. They've kind of pigeonholed or jerry rigged the system so they can like actually sell beer as opposed to their merch online.
Is that back with the old loophole with the beer tastings where you buy a glass and you get 6 free beer tastings?
It's a gray area. Let's put it that way. No, you are only officially allowed to buy 288 ounces of beer every day, anytime at breweries.
Interesting.
Officially. So.
And okay, so this is completely off the wall,
Mm-hmm.
not on the agenda, so you can throw the agenda away. Don't throw it away, actually.
Okay.
But so while your time in quarantine,
yes,
what was like the best beer that you found, rarest beer you found or had? Because a lot of stuff happened. Like there was that Modern Hops Festival that was supposed to happen, didn't happen, and then all the beers went into the market.
Yeah.
Like what was the crazy beer you had during?
It was really funny, and you mentioned that. It's the Modern Hops guys had their Day of the Juice, and of course that got canceled. And like you said, there was in the spot where they had all of those beers lined up ready to go, and nowhere to sell it. So
right.
you saw some crazy beers out there. My friend Tiny at Lincoln Fill Station had the similar situation where he had his Tiny Palooza, and it was going to be right at that same time too. And of course, he had kegs of all these crazy beers too. So one of my favorites that I saw down here. Is that I was able to see Bissell Brothers down
here. Yes.
And my family is all from Maine, so I'm a huge Bissell Brothers fanboy. And just to see Bissell down here and see Substance down here just made my heart warm. I was like, this is great.
So, it hasn't been back since. It's gone.
No, and it's gone, and it won't be back. Maybe until next year's Day of the Juice, something like that. But yeah, it's one of those things where it happens is, I don't know how technical you want to get into this, but for a festival like Day of the Juice, for example, so let's say Bissell Brothers says, okay, we're going to send 2 kegs down for you guys for the festival. Well, it's not a lot more for shipping if you just send a whole entire pallet of product down there. So what a lot of them will do will say, okay, along with the 2 kegs of the festival, we're just going to fill this pallet up with Substance or whatever the beer is, and then you guys can go ahead and sell it because you've signed a temporary distribution license here in Georgia, and then that's how they farm it out to a bunch of different bottle shops across the state.
It's a good way to build brand loyalty too. Like, I had that at the festival, and now I can get it here, sort of deal.
And also for the bottle shops too. It's like you walk into a certain bottle shop, you're like, holy crap! I'm like, there's Ninja versus Unicorn, or there's there's Bissell Brothers. There's all these crazy beers here. How'd that get here? And that raises the reputation of that bottle shop too. So
some foreshadowing right there for y'all.
Well, right before that happens, I did want to just bring up a couple other breweries that I saw come up through. I don't know if it had anything to do with Modern Hops or if it was just a timing thing, but like New Anthem, Brewing Project, places like those, they're popping up in everywhere I see right now, and they're making awesome stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny. It's shout out to all the Modern Hops guys, Eric and the crew there, that they do a great job. I mean,
we've had them on the show. Well, we had Eric on the show before,
And I mean, you walk into some of these bottle shops, like, where did you get that? Or it's like, I've got friends, they'll text me a picture, and they're like, is this any good? I'm like, yes. I'm like, so it's like all this crazy stuff that comes in, and it's those Modern Hops guys, kudos to them just doing little drops of beers from great breweries across the country, bringing in some great beer from Georgia. It's fun.
All right. Well, since we're foreshadowing, whoever wants to crack it open, Asif, since it's yours, want to do the honors?
There you go. Yes, so, like Aaron just mentioned, Ninja vs. Unicorn was, or Pipeworks was one of the breweries I was at. Back to the Juice Fest, or was going to be featured there, and then they just put out this release of Ninja vs. Unicorn versus Haze. So we've actually had Ninja vs. Unicorn on the show before. Pipeworks is a Chicago brewery, and when I went there, I brought the original Ninja vs. Unicorn back for the show, and this is a hazy version of that classic beer, and I'm pouring these out. I'm gonna top them all off in a second. But I got this from Stout Brothers in Roswell, which I don't know if you've been there yet, but that's a great bottle
So
shop.
Aaron has not broken eye contact with that beer yet.
I love this can. I mean, it's like a holographic can art. Yeah, you guys.
I'm biased towards my Georgia and my main breweries, but Pipeworks is right up there for me too.
It's a Chicago brewery, so as a Chicago podcast, we got to support the Chicago breweries as much as we can. And this is Ninja versus Unicorn versus the Haze. And let's see what else I can find on this. Bad
Is it a little
Boys.
sweeter than the original one?
And it might be again because of that haze, because of what they're putting in there as well. But it might be a little sweeter.
No, like it's not like overwhelmingly sweet,
not.
but it has like a little sweetness taste.
It's more amplified.
Maybe that's it.
That's you know what I mean. The flavors I feel more amplified, a little more dank, a little bit more. Again, a little bit of that sweetness to it because of the malts. I think maybe they're maybe leading in to make it hazy.
And this is an 8%.
Yeah.
So solid, which you'd expect. I love this can art.
It's fantastic.
This is excellent.
Pipeworks is a cool spot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Actually, when you came to the show last time, I was going to Chicago like a few weeks after that, and you gave us some recommendations for breweries up there. I didn't get to make it to Mars, but I did go to Moody Tongue, which was super fancy. Actually, I was not expecting that, but it's super fancy. It's more like a brew pub, is what it seemed like. But that place was super cool.
Did you have the cake?
So I was actually, I do the stand-up thing. So I went there to have a quick beer before I went to Second City to do some stand-up. I would have liked to spend more time there, but I just kind of squeezed it in.
Gotcha. Next time you got to try the cake. That's, the beer is great, but that chocolate cake.
Oh, man, that sounds excellent.
Well, Portillo's chocolate cake is also awesome. I don't know if you had that.
No, I have not.
Portillo's chocolate cake. Don't be turned off, but their secret ingredient is mayo. It's in the chocolate.
I'm down with that. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, I'm down with this beer though. This is excellent beer. If you guys can find this Ninja versus Unicorn versus the Haze, get it. And bring us some more, please.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they had the original Ninja versus Unicorn at Lincoln Fill Station, one of my spots in Gwinnett, and I bought the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. All right, so we're gonna get back into beer in a minute. But let's talk a little sports. I mean, you're wearing a Mariners jersey. I'm wearing a Bears shirt. Asif did not get the memo, but it's all good.
That's all right.
Let's start with some recent football news. Cam Newton signed with the Patriots.
I don't know about you guys. I knew this was going to happen. There's no way the Patriots are going to start the year with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback.
So did you see the carousel that when it was broken down?
No.
So let me break it down. Okay. So Tom Brady went to Tampa.
Okay.
Jameis Winston, former Tampa quarterback, went to New Orleans. Teddy Bridgewater, former New Orleans quarterback, went to Carolina. And then to close the carousel, Cam Newton went to New England.
That totally makes sense.
Like everyone just kind of just square danced and went and like do-si-doed.
Yes. It's no matter what happens, it's going to be a super interesting season if you're a quarterback fan of the NFL.
Yeah,
because so many of these great quarterbacks have switched teams. You've got these guys. You've got
Phillip
Rivers. You've got like you said, Bridgewater coming into Carolina.
Nick Foles, maybe.
Yeah, Nick Foles, whoever's going to play, be a quarterback for the Jaguars. There's a lot of weird transitions and changes. In the quarterback position, you've got guys like Brady, Breeze, Rodgers getting older, and you've got guys like Jackson and Mahomes kind of hitting their peak. So it's like you've got this crazy transition in the NFL with the most important position on the field.
Which Cam Newton is only 31 for those of you keeping count at home. So, I mean, he's still relatively, probably arguably closer to his peak than that, I would say. Granted, even though he's had injuries, age-wise, I don't know, he's still relatively young.
Like, because of his injuries, he seems like an old 31. But like, hey, he took a year off, so we don't know what he's going to be next year.
Sure, and again, at his best, you put him in that category of some of the best quarterbacks, especially for his age group, like the Russell Wilson type of thing. You've got those guys coming through.
So, and what people aren't remembering is that Josh McDaniels did have Tim Tebow in Denver, and he did make him a capable quarterback to take him to the playoffs. And Cam Newton is a little better than Tim Tebow last I checked. Approximately.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But so my question to you guys is, how good do we expect Cam Newton and the Patriots to be? I mean, are they back in the Super Bowl conversation potentially like they have been with Tom Brady for forever?
I say no, only because for the longest time, the Patriots had 5 to 6 wins guaranteed in that garbage AFC East.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Every single year, they just got 6 wins.
Again, worst division in football. I've said it for a long time.
But the Dolphins are not terrible.
Nope.
The Jets are not terrible. And the Bills are pretty darn good.
Playoff team
So,
last year.
I would throw the Jets as terrible for now.
The terrible-ish.
Until
but they're not so garbage that you're like, that's an easy win. They could give them a game if everything falls into place. But I think
Look,
Sam Darnold's terrible.
And they have the benefit of
You know,
continuity in the COVID era.
I like Sam Darnold, but he did get mono last year, and with the global pandemic, with Corona going on,
Sure.
I can't count Sam Darnold in.
Okay. I can go.
Which, how do we know he didn't have COVID? Actually, they just didn't.
You know what? It possibly.
Yeah.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Because it started in New York City. I mean, kind of went through.
I thought it started in your hometown, Seattle.
It started in the West Coast. I'm sorry, but then there were a lot of cases.
So,
So-
yeah, New York was a hot spot at one point. Either way, though.
Yeah.
So the AFC East, I would think the Patriots, maybe because they're the Patriots anyway, were the
Mhm.
favorite in the AFC East regardless. And then with
Sure.
Cam Newton, I would think they are undoubtedly the favorite. So
But I think they also, again, I would also put the Bills up there as well. I mean, they upgraded. They've got Diggs now. They've always had a pretty good defense. You've got another year of
Yeah.
Allen kind of getting his feet under himself. I think the Bills and the Patriots will battle it out, but in the end, it's the Bills. So
the Patriots are going to win that
yeah,
division.
pretty much.
How mad is every other team, or how scared is every other team in the NFL knowing that, hey, man, we could have had Cam Newton?
You know what? They shouldn't be, because if you wanted Cam Newton, you could have gotten Cam Newton.
But they didn't. And then now he goes to
But-
Bill Belichick,
but
and it's
why
like,
would
oh
they
my
be-
God, Bill Belichick is a genius.
But-
he could be like the Phil Jackson going from Jordan to Kobe. And obviously Cam Newton has a lot more to prove, but just in terms of star caliber quarterback, he's not missing a step, I would say.
Who's he going to throw to?
Julian Edelman, N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Brady hated that guy. But
Yeah.
he's got some
He,
skills.
he was a
Sonny
first
Michel,
round pick.
Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, that's the thing. I feel like it's going to be more of a run offense. Now, the other thing, it's only, I think, 1 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'm not counting out Jarrett Stidham yet. I'm still not counting him
Well,
out.
again, you can't with Cam's injury history. Hopefully he's better. And
yeah.
I wish him, and I really do. I hope he plays all 16 games and has a great career and a great season. But with his injury history, he could be down in training camp.
I'm not counting out Jarrett Stidham. Right now, I still have Jarrett Stidham as day one starter until I know what Cam is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is interesting. Well, the only other thing I want to say about Cam Newton here is, do we expect him to mold and become the Patriots offense in the sense of, does he become a pure pocket passer like Brady was, or does Bill Belichick adjust the system to fit his new quarterback who could, in theory, probably still run the ball if he needed to? I mean, he's a big dude.
I think it'll be adjusted. The thing is, going back to what Josh McDaniels was in Denver, he had a quarterback already who was not very accurate. Now he has a more accurate quarterback than Tim Tebow, but Cam Newton plays the way Cam Newton plays. He's not your prototypical pocket passer. He can pass out of the pocket, but he's going to need that 1-2 go receiver. Whether it be like a Greg Olsen type at a tight end, which I don't know if they have right now, or Sony Michel, who can play the McCaffrey role, I think.
Mm-hmm. And that'd be interesting. I think Sony Michel has been criminally underused so far.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that develops and if he can.
Because
be a
keep in
productive
mind
pass
too, to your point, Aaron, keep in mind that Tom Brady always made use of his receivers. I mean, there's random guys who, like LeGarrette Blount was used effectively. Sonny Michel maybe been underused, but you got Lendell White, who is James White. These guys were good for a little bit. You had Deion Branch, who was Super Bowl MVP with Tom Brady. I mean, I don't think that Cam Newton is worried about the receivers that he's not going to have, because the system facilitates that. Hey, you go through all your reads, you go through all your progressions, and you stick to
It'll
the game
be
plan.
interesting. I think so, because I really, I think no one's ever going to talk about this, but I think that there really was an annoyance with Tom Brady with his teammates pretty much the entire maybe last year and a half with them. I mean, you could see it on the sidelines. Basically, he threw to nobody else but Edelman the entire season last year, and it bit him in the end. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see that now that that's not a thing anymore, if he can open it up a little more, if he can open up the playbook and maybe get it to 3-4 receivers as opposed to, again, just that one. And and again, we're not even talking about the other side of the ball. And the Patriots defense is locked down.
Yeah, I'm not worried about their defense.
Yeah.
I mean, so my initial thought was before this happened, I still think this might be in play. I thought Bill Belichick was gonna get Trevor Lawrence next year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was a chance that Stephon Gilmore was going to be traded, and there was going to be a rebuild for 1 year. And I don't know what's happening right now. Asif, what's going on?
Ice and stuff all over the place.
Well, you know what his favorite song is, right?
Ice Ice Baby.
Exactly.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, so
I'll show you my high school prom picture here once. And I'll just see how awesome.
Before we go,
it's just you and a keg of beer doing the prom dance.
I had the lines on the side. It was pretty dope.
Nice.
Well, before we go deeper into the beer or into the sports world, because we got to talk some Seahawks. Your Seahawks, we got to talk
100%,
about
yeah.
in a moment. I'm gonna let you introduce this one because you brought this, and so
yeah.
you should
So I'm super interested about this. This is Schoolhouse over in Marietta. And it's called Stouty McStoutface, which is a 10% ABV
perfect
stout, of course. It's on nitro. So the one thing I'm interested on this one is I've never had a crowler of nitro beer before.
Do we need to take safe measurements, and do I need to crack it open in a trash can?
Just in case. I think we'll be okay.
Nabil will be right back.
Yes, but I've never had a nitro stout on a crowler before. So let me see how that works.
Oh yeah. So. And then real quick, so tell people about Crafted Consulting in case they missed the beginning part.
Yeah, sure. So we are a fully functional, rounded out marketing firm of me. Look at that, perfect. Good job, Thomas, and the crew at Schoolhouse. There you go. But no, we do all social media marketing, website redesign, development of product launches. And I always say, like, kind of all the little things that you need when you're doing marketing, but you just don't have time for, or you don't have someone that you can really kind of afford to hire. So,
and I can tell you, for people listening at home or wherever, being a social media coordinator is like more than a full-time job. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. It's extremely difficult because it's not just tweeting and this. And I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. So when you've got a professional like Aaron, who is now willing to offer his services to craft beer consultants throughout the state of Georgia, you need to take advantage of this. It's Crafted Consulting. That's why Aaron's on the show. Aaron, like Cam Newton, was a free agent until he got signed by Schoolhouse and Dry County and Contrast.
Well, see, that's the best part. I mean, like, hey, the Bears can't get Cam Newton and the Patriots can't have Cam Newton. But you know what? All the breweries can have Aaron.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
You're hired.
Hell yeah. So that's why you'll listen to Bears, Birds, and Brews featuring Schoolhouse Brewing specifically right now.
School's out for summer.
By the way, I love their cans. The composition
It's
notebook
got the
cans.
Notebook. And have you been there before? You been to the place?
I have not been there, but I've heard. This is not the first beer I've had by them. So, but this is the first stout I might have had by them.
So, like, their office doors are like wooden doors with like the window that you can't see through. And it's got like a little metal. It's kind of like your principal's office window from back in the day.
Nice.
It's got those. It's so cool. So
and
nice.
Where is this located?
They're in Marietta. I don't know the geography of Marietta very well, but they're kind of in an industrial parky type of.
I was about to say they wouldn't be in East Cobb because it's closer to where I live, and it's not close to my house. But
I think they're closer to like around the Ironmonger.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The old
like
Ironmonger or the
Park.
new one, or is that right next to each other?
I think they're right next to each other.
Okay, cool.
So, but by the way, just I don't. Schoolhouse is not one of my clients. I just like the beer. So.
Nice.
So I just want to confirm.
Well, thank you. And
although if you guys want to be one of my clients,
there you go. I mean, because y'all make good beer, and if y'all need,
would you technically be a client? Would you technically be like a substitute teacher over there?
Oh, I totally could be substitute teacher. Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
because you wouldn't be a teacher; you'd be a substitute teacher.
Oh, but the things that we used to do are substitute teachers back in the day. I don't think I want to be that.
But you have experience teaching now in quarantine, though.
That's true. I do.
Let
me tell you something, guys. Digital learning is not for the faint of heart. Shout out to all the teachers out there because
all the essential workers and all the teachers. And all the brewers, I feel like breweries are kind of an essential business, really. I mean, I'm not an expert, but that's my expert opinion.
I drank more on this quarantine than I ever had in my entire life. I gained like 15 pounds. It was ridiculous.
I mean, a muscle.
Yes.
I'm trying to keep the beer drinking down to once a week with this show, but I'm also drinking enough beers today for like 3 nights of drinking in a week, so like it kind of averages out.
I mean, it's a celebration.
There you go. Exactly.
It's a celebration.
But No, Aaron is back, and we've got a lot to talk about. Specifically, well, we talked about Cam Newton.
Mhm.
What you want to go straight down the agenda in the bill?
Yeah. So y'all, Seahawks draft.
Yeah.
That was so. First of all, we never discussed the draft with you. Like, did you enjoy watching the draft? I know it was like a weird.
The funnest thing for me, and I really enjoyed this because you got to see everyone's houses.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing
Okay.
about it. I love that.
The best house belongs to Cliff Kingsbury.
Oh yeah,
My God.
He was trying to be, hipster.
Like my God, his house is amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you're in Phoenix too.
Also, it was like mid spring Phoenix, and he has a fire on. Like it's like 112 outside.
Well, it depends, I guess. But even if you get up a little bit further up in the elevation, it's still you can be a little bit cool up there.
Yeah.
Least, I've got people that used to live in Arizona tell me that
That's true.
It's kinda cold up there.
That's true. That's true.
It's
It is a
just
desert.
Arizona.
Yeah.
But it was great because I think it was really cool because you saw an entire cross section of, and I don't want to get too deep in this, but of the country. You got to see guys who were coaches and kind of upper class, and you had these big huge houses and other things that were like, some of them were like lavishly adorned, and other ones was like you could tell he was like just in a spare room somewhere with a folding table, and his kids like drew a picture of the logo, whatever, which is great. And then the people who were getting drafted, you could just see like them in their living rooms and their homes, their families and stuff. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they did a great job for what they were left with and had to scramble.
I kind of hope they keep doing it every year, just like this. Like I don't really need the draft to go city to city and have everyone in that draft. No, just have everyone be at home.
No, it was fun. Like I said, I thought it was more fun that way.
It really was.
It was cool to see, and I dug it.
So what do you think about your draft picks? I mean,
I
mean, Jalen Brooks.
I love Jordan Brooks.
All right.
I love Jordan Brooks.
Jordan Brooks, not Jalen Brooks.
Don't necessarily like him where they picked him, but I get why they did it. The dude is a ball hawk and he can hit. It looks like he's going to be the heir apparent to KJ Wright. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it this year or not. This might be his last year with the Seahawks.
Okay.
But ball hawker, just can hit people. Exactly the kind of player the Seahawks like. Seattle's drafts are always weird because you just don't know.
Well, so I want to congratulate you. I think this might be the first year you guys didn't trade out of the first round. And it's never a trade out of the first round for you guys. I feel like it's you go from 25 to 26. And then 26 to 32, and then 32 to the mid-second round.
It has been it's so frustrating being the Seahawks fan on draft day because you're like, all right, they're picking 16. And I'm like, all right, cool. You get ready. It's like 12, 13, 14. Oh, they traded it down. And then they traded it again. It's like it's 11 o'clock at night. You're like, I'm like, really? I just haven't seen any of this. So yeah, so you kind of as a Seahawks fan, you just kind of assume they're going to trade out.
Right.
So actually having a first round draft pick was cool to see.
Yeah. So my personal favorite pick that the Seahawks did was in the third round, getting Damian Lewis.
Yeah.
First of all, he's a giant of a human being. Second of all, he was a part of the best team in college football last year at LSU. And now you finally have someone to help with protecting the interior of Russell Wilson. So
they need all the help they can get.
Yeah.
I do have some concerns because the projected starting lineup now is new. 3/5 of it is going to be new.
Yeah.
Dwayne Brown's going to be kind of the anchor at left tackle, and then you've got Mike Iupati. Don't know if he's going to be able to start or not, but he's going to be starting at guard. But everyone else is gone. There's three new and offensive line, of course, is such a hard thing to have. You got to have a gel. You really have to be a unit. So
and with no training,
exactly.
no like off season,
training camp, no real kind of way to get them in shape. That's kind of one of my biggest concerns for this year's is how that offensive line is going to gel.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it can't be worse than last year.
Last year was bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as watching the defense. Just watching the Seattle defense was an exercise in absolute futility. It was maddening. Just because, like, all you could do was just hope that Russell Wilson can save that team. I mean, seriously. I mean, you take a look at that team and you watch those Seahawks games and tell me that Russell Wilson is not the most valuable player in the NFL.
He's amazing.
Single-handedly won 7 or 8 games.
That 49ers game, I remember last year, and it was literally just back and forth.
The Monday night overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say
I don't remember who won. I feel like
the Seahawks won.
The Seahawks won.
Yeah.
Okay,
but then they
That's
lost
when
in the playoff game, like literally with 3 inches to go.
Yeah.
Because we have a 180-pound tight end. We can't push into the end zone. Anyway,
which is
should have given it to Marshawn.
again, right? Well, all right. Actually, so we talk about 28-3 on the show all too much, but we've never been able to talk about the Patriots
That is very
Seahawks
true.
Super
That's
Bowl.
very
I try to
true.
block it out of my mind, but it's okay.
That's fair. So,
Oh,
well,
snap.
we'll just maybe one word answer.
Mhm.
How do you feel about the Patriots Super Bowl loss and not the Seahawks Super Bowl loss to the Patriots and not handing it to Marshawn Lynch at the goal line?
Understandably maddening. That's 2 words.
We'll just hyphenate it
Okay.
or something. Yeah.
I get what Pete Carroll was doing, but a lot of times Pete Carroll gets too smart for his own good. You just hand the ball to the dude. You're first and goal. You're on the 1 yard line. Hand the ball to your beast. Let him push it in 2 times, 3 times. Then you pass the ball.
Which is
that's what you do.
I've always said about that particular play, I think it's a better defensive play than it was a better offensive play.
100%.
Yeah.
He did a fantastic job jumping that pass.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it comes down to. And we'll see what happens. I mean, ironically
we know
enough,
what happened.
well, ironically enough, the one team that I think everybody in the league is scared to play, no matter what the circumstances are, is the Seahawks, because they have their brand, they have their reputation, and obviously they have Russell Wilson.
Yes.
So ironically enough, the Falcons were founded on this day in 1965.
Yeah.
So it's the Falcons Founders Day.
Happy birthday.
We don't have to talk
happy
about the
birthday.
Falcons off season. We can, but I think maybe more interesting enough is September 13th, 2020, which is just a couple months away from now. The Falcons and the Seahawks will hopefully be squaring off for week 1 in the first game of the NFL season. How do you feel about that?
That's the first game I'm planning to go to.
Nice.
As in this post-COVID era. So I'm hoping it goes as planned. I'm optimistic. I think again, I like what the Falcons are doing in the offseason. I really do, and I think I like the acquisition of Gurley more than a lot of people do. I know.
Well, I'll say that on the show, and the Bill and I disagree.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not ecstatic about Gurley, but I'm not upset about it at all.
I think Ridley's a breakout star. I think he's gonna be fantastic this year. Ryan can get the ball. I like the new tight end they've got.
Hayden Hurst.
I don't know if it's an upgrade over who they lost, but it's still not a bad deal for them. Defensively, I think they're fine. I still like the Seahawks' chances in this one again, because Russell Wilson's the best player on the field. And so if he's the best player, if you got the best player in the field, I think you always have a chance.
I can't disagree with that. I mean, there's no quarterback, and I love Matt Ryan, and obviously Drew Brees and Tom Brady are great, but there's no quarterback. There's no team where I look at like who's the one guy on the other team that I don't want to play against if I don't have to. And it's Russell Wilson throughout the whole league.
And I agree.
Over Pat Mahomes?
I mean, Pat Mahomes is good for sure. And he's obviously proven it this year, but I think if you look at like the last 4 years, Russell Wilson has definitely been that guy.
And I look at Pat Mahomes, and I look at Jackson, Lamar Jackson the same way. They're fantastic. They're phenomenal quarterbacks, and I think that they can't take anything away from them. But their supporting cast is so much better than what Seattle has put up on the field over the past 2 years. They have had garbage on the field with the you had, other than Lockett and other than an unhurt running back, Carson. They've had nobody. I mean, nobody has really been out there who's the stud wide receiver. I think DK Metcalf could be that person. I think he's poised for a breakout year this year.
I like Metcalf.
Oh, he's a beast.
The dude's a beast, and I don't know why they were able to take him so late, but we're going to take him. Be happy with it. And Will Dissly is a great tight end if he stays in the field, but
he had that Achilles injury, right?
Twice. Yeah, he's shown all the results of breaking out, but we've got Olsen now. That's going to help. And there's a kid out of Stanford. They took him in the 4th round. He's hurt right now, but I think he may be.
He's a tight end.
Tight end.
Like 6'7", some ridiculous size. But most of the time, he hasn't really had anybody to throw to, and he's making these guys very,
Colby Parkinson,
yes. So, he's just willing this team to win. It's just he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He runs when he needs to run. He passes when he needs to, and he just consistently makes those amazing throws. I mean, that throw that he made to Lockett, I guess it's like week 3 or 4, the corner of the end zone. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best throws I've ever seen in my entire life.
I do remember that one.
You literally had 2 or 3 inches to thread that needle, and he nailed it. I mean, when he passed it, I thought he was throwing it away. I'm like, there's this you just throw it in the back of the corner and throw it.
I do remember that pass.
Unbelievable.
Well, I've always said that. I mean, always, and at least when he started playing, at least. But Russell Wilson has a perfect touch.
Mhm.
I mean, the guy, I guess, and maybe it probably comes from playing shortstop, so he knows exactly how to
Sure.
throw the ball. You know,
Him and Mahomes, both former baseball players,
Yeah.
are
Right.
kind of known
Yeah.
for that, and they're able to throw it at different angles too. They're not
Definitely.
They're not the typical
Traditional,
quarterback
yeah.
drop back at the perfect elbow angle and throw it there. They're able to throw it at
And
weird angles and off.
even then, I would still take Russell Wilson's touch because I think his touch is more refined, whereas Mahomes is, I mean, he's got a lot of arm strength behind that, you know?
And I think Mahomes will get there. It's
Oh,
just,
yeah.
it does. It take the first couple of years, Mahomes and Wilson looked very similar. But again, over the years, as he's gotten older, he's been able to kind of refine that touch a lot more, and he's gotten that, in year 5, 6, 7, 8, as opposed to when he was much younger.
So, well,
Yeah.
very good, Asif.
Well, the only thing I was going to say is I think the true test for Mahomes will actually be this upcoming season, because that's not to say that he's not the best, MVP or whatever that he was in the Super Bowl this year. But when you're young, you're kind of naive, so you just kind of focus on the task ahead. But when you have the target on your back, like Russell Wilson and the Seahawks did after being the Broncos in the Super Bowl, and then they couldn't repeat because of what we just talked about, that's when you see how good these guys really are. When
you start getting those Madden covers, you start getting those State Farm commercials.
Because now everybody is looking for you,
exactly.
and they have your game circled on the calendar already.
I don't know. I feel like the target was on his back last year, but
For
we'll see.
Mahomes?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's only that much more now that he's won the Super Bowl. I mean, that's at least my thought on it.
He just learned how to read defenses last year. So let's see. So we were talking baseball, but before we go baseball, it's going to wrap up football real quick, and we're going to do this a lot quicker than we were supposed to on the agenda. Aaron, who's the starting quarterback for the Bears next year? Nick Foles or Mitch Trubisky?
You guys should have signed Cam Newton as what y'all should have done.
That's what I said.
That's not an option, sir. That's not an
That's what I
option.
said, though.
I mean,
You should have brought Trillium, but that wasn't an option.
Next time, I'll give. Boy, I tell you what, I think you go with a horse that's got you there until you say no. I mean,
where'd the horse get us, though?
It got you nowhere. I mean, Trubisky until week 4. I'm gonna give it to week 4.
Trubisky week 4, then it's Nick
Then
Foles.
you make a change to Nick Foles.
All right, cool.
It will depends. I mean, if the Bears 3-1 by then yeah, you ride that horse. But if they're 1-3, 2-2, then yeah, I think they're gonna make that change.
Okay. All right. So, but you have Mitch starting week 1. All right.
do,
Interesting.
And he'll be at Seahawks Falcons week 1 too. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I hope so.
All right. Now we're going to baseball. All right. So first of all, I want to celebrate a day. It is my favorite day of the year, and it's going to be tomorrow. Today is June 30th. Tomorrow is July 1st. July 1st is my favorite day of the year because it is Bobby Bonilla Day. Asif, do you know what Bobby Bonilla is?
Yeah, it's the guy with the Mets who still gets paid for not being on the Mets.
Yes, he gets paid $1 million.
And he's been out of the league for 20 years.
Yes,
and he's still getting paid
until 2030.
That's amazing.
Until 2030.
I want that job.
All right. So quick question: does anybody know who brokered that deal?
I would say Boris, but I'm sure I'm probably wrong.
Nope. It wasn't brokered by Bobby Bonilla's agent. It was done by the Mets, and they had an outside consultant who helped them do this. Any ideas? 3.
Can I get a hint?
2. He's in jail. 3, 2.
Pete Rose?
Bernie Madoff.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's amazing. That honestly, I couldn't have come up with a better answer than Bernie Madoff.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's excellent.
That is so Mets.
Bernie Madoff brokered that deal.
I always have to say, I'm a Seattle Mariners fan. The Seattle Mariners are probably one of the worst franchises in major sports in the Northern American continent during my lifetime. But you can always make fun of the Mets. So
I mean, well, I can make fun of the Mariners too, but just because it's so heartbreaking. Can you just go over the Mariners? Was it 2001 roster?
The 2001 roster that won all those games. And,
yes.
So we had. Let's see. So we had Edgar Martinez.
Okay.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, well, he's a good guy. He's good.
Alex Rodriguez.
Pre-steroids, I think.
Pre-steroids. Randy Johnson.
He's okay.
Jay Buhner.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Let's see who else we have. We had Randy Johnson.
Was Ichiro there at that point?
Ichiro was not there at that point.
Oh, damn, my bad.
But we had him. We had Jamie Moyer, who was a solid pitcher. And then my man, who I've got the jersey on right now, actually, is Kazuhiro Sasaki, which was one of my favorite players of all time. He was the closer for the Mariners.
Okay.
And he was, again, from Japan. He was in his 30s. And what he would do is he would basically go on road trips, would go to sushi and sake joints, get drunk, and smoke cigarettes all night long, and then come right back out and just shut people down.
That's pretty awesome.
He was awesome. I love Kazuhiro Sasaki. So
You know what that reminds me of?
Yes.
That reminds me of the famous Tony Kukoc story. Have you ever heard the famous Tony Kukoc story?
No.
All right. So this is we did talk about The Last Dance a lot. I'm assuming you watched The Last Dance?
Yes.
Okay. So Last Dance, one of Tony Kukoc's first games with the Bulls, Steve Kerr's like, I guess it was post him getting punched in the face. But yeah, Steve Kerr's like, hey, Tony, let's go out to lunch before the game. Tony's like, sure. So they go to a restaurant. Steve orders a salad and like a water. We have a game coming up. I'm going to have something light, a little salad, a little bit of meat. That's about it. Tony orders 3-course meal, dessert, gets an espresso. And then Steve's like, Tony, dude, we got a game in like 2 hours. What are you doing? He was like, in my country, we eat big food, go back, take big shit, play a great game.
That's hilarious because, again, I back in the day when I was actually in shape, I played rugby for several years, and I was able to play rugby with some guys from different countries. And I remember there was a couple of guys that were from Fiji, and these dudes were huge, and they were fast, and they were strong, and they would beat the crap out of you. And every time before a game, like we are Americans, we do our warm ups, we're doing our stretches, we're doing the whole thing. So warm up, da 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 da. They're sitting on the sideline smoking, drinking a beer. And then we proceed to start playing, and they ran circles around all of us. And it's like, really? It's like So it's a different mentality, and I totally dig it, and I wish I was able to do that.
All right, so Asif did reach into the bag of wonder and pull out something that looks pretty awesome.
One of my favorites.
Tell us about this.
This is Dry County's Bone Music. It's a Russian Imperial Stout that they have, I believe it's 11% bourbon barrel aged.
Oh,
and
with vanilla beans.
I've actually had this before, so I'm super happy you brought it back. Thank you.
Super delicious beer. Do you know why they call it bone music?
I do not. Please explain.
Okay, so here's the thing. So back in communist Russia, of course, music was banned, and pop music was banned. So what people would do is they would actually take and they would pirate or steal music from the West, press records, and do it and sell it on the black market in Soviet Russia. And the best material to do that with was X-ray material. So they would take old used X-rays and press them into records from bootleg records from the West to sell in in the flea markets and things like that. And so
interesting.
And so you would come up with a record, and they would have like someone's broken leg or someone's lung or something like that. So they would call it bone music, and that's awesome. The way it is. So yeah, it's from Dry County up in Kennesaw. Super great guys. They've got a fantastic brewery out there. They're making some really good stuff.
And these are some of your clients.
They are. So yes, truth be told, they are my clients.
Oh, yeah.
Cool thing about Dry County is they're actually the first brewery to actually have it hold both a distilling and a brewing license in the state.
Wow.
So
okay.
Yeah, so they make vodka. They make some spirits as well. They make some brown liquor too.
So this says it's aged in bourbon barrels.
Yes.
Now they can't make bourbon because it's not technically a bourbon if it's made over here, right?
It would be a whiskey. So they're probably getting those bourbon barrels somewhere else. I don't 100% know that, but they can make. Yeah, they can make. I guess what would it be called? It wouldn't be bourbon, but it would be.
It'd be like a whiskey. It'd be like Jack Daniels. It'd be like
this and they do some of that brown liquor as well.
So do they age their beers in their own whiskeys?
I do not know that answer, to be honest with you, too. But I wouldn't surprise me if some of them were. But they're not.
Good to crack.
Yes, go for
it. Thank you, sir.
But they're not brewing spirits in that. I don't think in that bulk right now. So they're not able to kind of get the barrels they need. So they're probably coming from a broker, or they're blending it with some other ones as well, which is what a lot of breweries will do too. So, but they did a great job with this one. Steve Anderson's the head brewer here at Dry County. I
want to try the sour, the neon light or whatever.
Oh, there's the neon. Yeah, that's really good too. And I tell you what, it's such a basic drink, but it's so freaking good. They make a blueberry lemonade vodka. And it's in a can, so it's blueberries, lemonade, and they put their own house vodka in there too. It's so good. Put it over ice. It is delicious. And again, it's super basic, but I absolutely love
I may have to hit up Dry County pretty soon.
Yeah, and like I said, it's up in Kennesaw, so a lot of folks in Atlanta kind of forget about it sometimes, but they do some really good stuff up there.
Okay, the vanilla is very present. I do love that.
I would consider this on the boozy end when you're talking about 11.1. I feel like you can taste that like right away.
100% you can. Yeah, you can definitely feel this one, but It's
This
everything
is
you want. I mean, it's really nice.
no. This is a solid beer. Which
So,
is yeah. Go for
It
it.
tastes familiar, familiar to a different stout I've had before. Like
Mhm.
it has like the profile of like the imperial stout. So I guess that's what I'm
Yeah.
tasting. But it meets like the it's good. It's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, well-made imperial stout. I mean, and it's for a pretty basic adjunct-free, relatively speaking, imperial stout. It's they are going to kind of taste similar sometimes, but it's just in the way it's made. It's just a really well-made
It is.
stout, and it's tasty, even though it's 90 degrees outside. It's still
It's cool.
makes me happy.
It's cool in here.
Yeah, I think technically it's raining out there, so that's good.
Yeah, get caught in that too.
Speaking of, and is it time?
Oh
Is it time?
yes. Baseball time.
Baseball time.
Well, we were semi in baseball before,
Always
but
baseball
yes. All right. So Buster Only said there's a 0% chance that baseball finishes its season. What do y'all think?
I mean, here's the thing, and I think we can start off with all the optimism in the world. And, they've got taxi squads, they've got all this, these redundancies in place. But what happens when, not if, multiple players catch this and they've got to shut things down? It's like you can't just say, okay, well, on Monday we're playing a game, and then Tuesday, 3 of our guys tested positive for COVID-19, but everyone else has been exposed to it. So you're going to shut down the entire, or just take those 3 guys and get them out of here, or you shut the entire. I mean, it's such a, I don't know. I do not see. I'm excited because I love baseball, but I'm with Buster on this. I don't see how it can actually work right now.
The other thing that I think baseball did to like set themselves up for failure, I think it's like 60 games in 70 days, or maybe like 75 days.
Yeah, I mean,
there are no days off.
No, and I was reading with the Mariners. Is like the Mariners are planning on getting a 6-man staff. I'm sure a lot of the other teams are doing that as well. Plus a deep bullpen and their taxi squad, because I guess you can move guys back if you need to. We've got a lot of starting pitchers in there too, so it's like, yeah, they're probably going to run. You're probably going to run, 10 deep in your pitching on your pitching staff.
And like you did not plan for any days off. You didn't plan, and that's the thing. Like, okay, when someone gets COVID, it's gonna impact your entire staff.
Yeah,
it's gonna impact your entire team. If it's a pitcher, that's probably even worse, because not only does it impacts every pitcher on your team, because they literally all hang out together in the bullpen.
And even if it's not a COVID-related thing, what if it's a rainout? What if you have a 3-day rainout or a 2-day rainout?
That's true too.
What are you going to do? You've played 15 games in a row, then all of a sudden you're going to play 4 double headers. I'm like, and then go back to play another 15 games. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, you just can't do that.
It wasn't well planned, and it's not going to end well.
No, and again, I've been on this earth a little bit longer than you guys have, but I've found if Major League Baseball can find a way to shoot themselves in the foot, they're going to find a way to do that.
100%. I think we've actually talked about that on the podcast before. They cannot get out of their own way.
They had the opportunity to be the only sport going for about a month and a half, and they completely screwed it up.
Well, baseball is about to have a reckoning, because basketball is going to be played in the summer going forward, most likely.
100%.
And once that happens, like, baseball is not going to make the money it used to.
No, and then up north they're playing hockey now late too, so a lot of those northern teams are not going to care about baseball either.
Abs saves hockey.
Which is
not really
a perfect transition to our next topic.
There we go.
Before we go there, though, I just want to ask you, because we've talked about it real fast. If the World Series winner this year, if we get to that point, does it count? Does it not count?
Let me ask you, because this actually impacts you a lot, because Seattle hasn't won a World Series, right?
I haven't even been to the World Series, so it's been great.
If Seattle somehow, I think King Felix is on the Braves now. I don't even know
he
how.
Is, yes.
If Seattle somehow, some way wins the World Series this year,
yes,
is it a real World Series?
100%. I will take it. I do not care how it. They play a 2-game series. I will take the win.
So
I just want that trophy.
So let me ask you a follow-up question. If the Braves win the World Series this year, is it a real World Series?
Yeah, I think so too.
If the Cubs win the World Series, is it a real World Series?
Absolutely.
If the Yankees.
No.
I mean, there has to be a line somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'll draw the line of Yankees and Cardinals.
Cardinals?
Yeah, so sorry, Ryan, but I'm wearing my Mariners jersey because I saw Ryan wear his Cardinals jersey too.
Oh my God, Ryan.
So
Ryan Goodward?
I can't like let that go without that. So it's fine.
Shout out Ryan Goodward. I still owe you a beer at Goodward, don't I?
Okay, yeah, you do. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that a while ago. That's my fault. I'm going to hit you up more often.
We'll blame COVID. It'll be
I'll just blame me. It's all good. Listen. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I
Well,
admit
I've got
it.
a lot more spare time, and I'm up in that area a lot.
I will
more now,
definitely hit you
so
up.
we'll definitely hit up, and we'll do that.
All
Sure.
right. So, did you see what happened with the NHL lottery?
I did, and it's funny for me because again, I'm a lifelong Seattle resident, and I grew up watching the Vancouver Canucks on Canadian TV. So I grew up a Canucks fan.
Interesting.
And I have no idea how I'm going to be able to root for the Canucks or the new Seattle franchise. I'm so torn right now. But
are they going to be in the same division?
I believe so, yes. And it's going to be so strange for me. But until it happens, I'm a Canucks fan. So seeing that they've got the number one or the potential for the number one pick, I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah. So the Blackhawks. I
want them to win, but I don't, but
Blackhawks can also get. So for those who don't understand what we're talking about right now, the NHL lottery happened over the weekend. And when the lottery happened, there was a slot that had a 2.5% chance of winning, which was a question mark. Like there's no team that's associated with it because that based off the play-in for the new playoffs that are happening. So the Blackhawks can get it. A lot of play-in teams can get it.
So it basically boils down to a pretty good team is going to get the number one pick.
Exactly. And I'm kind of like conflicted. I'm like, do I want the Blackhawks to maybe win the Stanley Cup?
Well, the kid is supposed to go number one is supposed to be just an absolute stud.
Yeah, that's why I kind of want them. And you know what? We're going to get against Edmonton and possibly the best young player in hockey right now. And
shout out to Jack Michaels, by the way, the play-by-play guy for the Edmonton Oilers. I went to college with him. So
nice.
Oh, yeah, shout out to Jack.
He's the man.
Good guy, Jack.
Yes, he's a good guy. He spent years in Alaska, in Anchorage, in a minor league hockey before he actually got the call up.
You know what? Shout out to Jack.
Good for him, man. Listen, I give him all the credit in the world. He's a great guy. Yeah.
You make it through. That's pretty badass. You know what, Jack? If you come on, I got a beer for you.
Oh yeah. Well, when the Edmonton Oilers come in town to play, they can't.
Oh no. What about the Fire? Oh wait, no, they can't have the Fire either. No, the Thrashers.
What
did the Gladiators play the Edmonton?
Would be amazing. I would love that.
This kind
so
of
many fights would be great.
Not necessarily on the agenda, but another rapid fire question for you outside of football, because I think that's probably the ultimate answer. What sport are you most looking forward to watching after, after everything starts to resume from COVID?
I'm going to throw you a complete curveball here.
Do it.
Lacrosse.
I'm excited for lacrosse.
Boom! Exactly. I knew it. Yep. And wait, because of your son?
My son, yeah. So my son's playing. He's in high school. He's gonna be a junior now. My God, I can't believe it. But he's playing summer lacrosse now, and so I'm excited to actually kind of come in.
You ever been to a Georgia Swarm game?
My son played on the junior Swarm team last year. Actually,
yeah, those games are fun.
He was up in Canada representing the Swarm against all the other Canadian kids. And, it was pretty freaking awesome.
And your son's a goalie, correct?
He's a goalie. He plays box lacrosse. He usually plays field because that's what we usually play here in Atlanta. But his plans actually are to go to college up north and play box lacrosse.
Which means what exactly?
It's the indoor version. So basically, it's the difference between NFL and arena football.
Got it.
It's faster. It's just crazy. The lacrosse goalies are basically wearing hockey goalie gear, and it's just fast. I mean, he just gets absolutely pummeled as the goalie.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much fun to watch. So
lacrosse is great. I mean,
fun hypothetical fact.
Yes.
I'm not sure if 100% correct, but I believe Jim Brown believes he was a better lacrosse player than a football player.
Yeah, absolutely. He was one of the few members. I think they're both in lacrosse and football Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Dude was a beast.
Lacrosse athletes and the sport itself is no joke.
It is. It's hard. It's fast. They don't get paid nearly enough. And it's one of those growing sports. It's kind of like what soccer was 10, 15 years ago. Kind of a niche sport, but I think it is going to grow a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think you'll start seeing more and more of that going.
You know what can grow any sport? Legal gambling. So we need more gambling available in Georgia. And then I'm telling you, lacrosse is going to be amazing.
I got $10 in the Swarm and Roughnecks. Come on!
If I can bet the over, I got it, man.
That'd be fantastic. I would love that.
Oh yeah. And I guess, do we just go here in the booth?
Am I saying the trivia or are you saying the trivia?
I'll do it. I'll do it. But
I know the answer, so I'm gonna let Aaron answer it.
So this is strictly for you, Aaron. And unfortunately this will be the beginning of the wrap-up segment of the show, even though we could probably pull out another beer at some point.
Wait, hold up. I think we are pulling another beer. Yeah, of course.
Let's do it. All right. So final-ish beer. We might drink more off air.
Yes.
You got to be here for that, but you're not here. But for what we are here for, I got a trivia question for you, Aaron.
Okay.
Which is, okay, in NBA history, this player is tied with Kobe Bryant for the second most buzzer beaters of all time with 8. Michael Jordan, go figure, is number 1 all time with 9. But who is the player that's tied with Kobe Bryant for 8? And I got 1 to 2 hints for you.
So bad at NBA trivia. Okay, give me a hint. I'm gonna need one.
Okay, what the hint I'll tell you, and this is the hint for everybody at home, is not LeBron James.
That's not a very good hint.
That's a horrible hint.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll start there, and I got another one for you.
I gotta go with lifeline number 2 then.
Oh man, but how you, well,
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna give you 2 more hints.
Okay.
One, think of the theme of the show.
Okay.
that don't make sense to me. But
Okay.
Theme of the show, like what cities are associated with the show?
Okay. Okay.
And if you don't get that one, I have one more for you.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with Neek if that's the case.
that's a
Ooh,
great guess, but no.
Close. You have your right team.
Okay. So I got the right team. Maravich.
Think
Another
sooner.
great player,
Sooner.
more
So-
recent.
More recent. Okay. Jeez Louise.
And again, I'll just repeat it for you.
Vince Carter.
Oh, that's another good guess,
No.
but no.
Last guess.
You won't- you- I don't expect you to
Okay.
get this right, so don't feel bad
You know
if you don't.
How about this last
Jeremy
guess?
Lin. There you go. That's what I got.
All right.
I'm
That's
sorry, I'm not-
insane.
I know.
That's a insane
That's
guess.
insanity.
I'm sorry.
Asif, what is the answer? Please tell everybody.
Okay, the answer, you're not gonna believe this. I still can't believe it, but it's Joe Johnson.
Are you kidding me? I would have never gotten a million.
Right.
years.
I didn't expect you to
Million
get it
years.
right. But Joe Johnson is actually tied with Kobe Bryant for the second most buzzer beaters all time. I mean, honestly, the only thing I could do with that is drink another beer because it doesn't make sense to
R.I.P.
me.
Kobe. Yes.
Yeah, R.I.P. Kobe for sure.
Right.
And then while you get to pouring this other beer, which we'll talk about in a second once you're done, Derrick Rose chose not to recruit LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh in 2010. So instead of having them come to Chicago, he let them walk to Miami. And obviously there was a dynasty that developed as a result
Not
of
a
that.
dynasty. They won how many?
I
One?
was gonna say they got 1.5. Oh yeah.
How many did they
one
win?
and
1 or 2?
They won at least 2.
2.
Yeah, whatever.
But then that's
They
not
went to the
bad. See,
finals 3 times and they won 2.
Good for them.
And
Yep.
one of them was in the shortened season.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, short seasons count. I mean, it depends what sport it is and how you want the argument to be. But hey, quick question: didn't the Braves win their one World Series in a shortened season as well?
They did. 94, right?
Wow, shortened
95.
seasons.
95. Sorry, 95. Yeah.
Shortened seasons, they just go around.
It does.
Yeah, so it might happen for Atlanta again, hopefully.
That's right, because
Fingers crossed.
94 was canceled.
Yeah.
And 95 was a short. That's right. That's what it was
Wow.
because the Mariners are ready to. We're going to win the World Series in 94.
Again, that Mariners team, A-Rod. Listen, I don't know how a team with A-Rod and Ken Griffey Jr. together.
Here's why. They had a great starting pitcher. They had no bullpen. And I
Yeah,
knew it. I knew it the entire year. And I'm like, they are going to screw this up because they have no bullpen. And they didn't make a trade at the deadline. And they screwed up. And they had a crappy bullpen. They had Bobby Ayala pitching in the
Isn't that what
playoffs.
usually
Horrible.
happens, though?
passion.
And I would say that's usually what happens, right?
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
It's pretty much what happens.
yeah, for sure.
All right.
Anyway,
All right, Aaron.
I was
Tell
on my
us.
honeymoon, by the way, in the 2001. And
Oof,
Cabo San Lucas watching those games.
that's rough.
My honeymoon.
That's rough.
Anyway, I'm
Hey,
sorry.
but at least you had a good time,
You
though.
break my heart. I was drunk at the time.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Exactly.
I mean, if you weren't drunk at the time, I would judge you.
that's true.
But
That's true. So
how about you let us know what we're drinking right
yeah,
now?
actually, this one is shout out to my neighbor. Actually, he's one of the co-owners and head brewer here at Normaltown Brewing in Athens.
I love Normal Town.
And you know what? They had the unfortunate distinction of being one of the last breweries to open as a new brewery before this whole COVID-19
Mhm.
hit. I mean, I think they literally opened like less than a month before this all happened. So unfortunately, they had to shut down, and they're just slowly starting to get back now. I believe they're just doing beers to go because they're in the same situation as Contrast is, very slow stings. But this one is a hazy IPA, Electric Mist, 7.5 ABV. You know, and it's been cool because again, like I've been his neighbor for several years, and he's been homebrewing for years.
Yeah.
And you know, he'll like Facebook message me, and he's like, "Hey, I got some new beer. Come on, try it." And then finally, and like, you know, he'd been talking about opening a new brewery for like the longest time, and all of a sudden, it's like, "Oh, a new brewery." So
Yeah, I mean,
So, yeah.
I saw them in a couple of growler stores. I saw them at Exhibit Ale, like
Yep.
right before the whole COVID thing hit,
Mhm.
and then after that, I haven't seen them. And you know, I thought it was really good beer when I had it.
I like this.
yeah, and he's like I said, I mean, he's been doing a lot with the hazy IPAs and a lot of the IPAs. He's doing it quite a bit. So it's kind of cool to see him. I do know that they have a very small system there in Athens, and I know they sold out almost immediately, like the weekend that they opened. So I know that he's kind of working as best he possibly can, just getting some recipes developed, brewing some beer up, and trying to get this whole thing going. But
Yeah.
Athens is starting to blow up.
They really are.
Got a few breweries, of course, the classics. Creature
But
Comforts, Terrapin.
it's weird. I don't think anyone drinks in Athens.
I don't know.
Is that
Right?
sarcasm or no? Because I know a lot of people. I know when I go to Athens, I drink quite a bit, actually.
Why would you drink in Athens?
I don't know.
Well, last time I was there, Mizzou got stomped, so that's why I was drinking
That
that.
makes
But-
sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But Creature Comforts, of course, is kind of like one of the OGs along with Terrapin. But everyone goes to Creature Comforts. But you've had Academia come up a few years ago. Of course, Normal Town came through earlier this year.
I'm gonna have to go check this out.
Then
next time I'm there.
Authentic Brewing, I think literally opened like right down the street from Normal Town as well.
Okay.
I believe they opened either last week or the week before, so they're brand new.
Hey, I have one rule: more breweries, more better.
100%.
So do you feel that breweries open in Athens because the target audience is there, or the cost of doing business is cheaper? Is it a little bit of both, or what?
A little bit of both. I believe.
Okay.
I think that interestingly enough, and I can't 100% vouch for this, but I believe this is true. The county that Athens is in is one of the poorest counties in the state.
Oh, Clark County.
Clark County. It's amazing. I mean, I was really surprised to hear that.
That's astonishing.
But again, so there's a lot of empty buildings out there, and I think a lot of these places have kind of moved in and helped. And and of course, that's what happens with breweries all the time is they move into an underdeveloped place, start to build people, and then it kind of builds up. So I think there's that. But of course, I mean, you've got a built-in audience of 25,000 college students that
right there
aching for beer, and their parents and all that kind of stuff. And of course, every Sunday for the you get
Saturday
every Saturday for 7 weeks, you've got a packed house. So
yeah.
that ain't bad. That's not a bad way to get started. So and the competition for the most part in Athens has been relatively small. So we'll see how again we've got 1, 2, 3, 5 as far as I know in Athens now. So we'll see how that develops and grows too.
So, Aaron, when are we opening a brewery in Athens?
Oh, jeez, I don't know. Monroe. That's where I want to open. Actually, is Monroe. That's the place to go. Six. I'm sorry. Southern Brewing. I forgot about.
Okay, I thought Southern Brewing
Southern
was there.
Right. My fault.
I get it confused whether it's there in Savannah, which is like two completely opposite sides. But yes,
but Southern also opened a brewery in Monroe. They've got a small out branch in Monroe too. As long as there's another brewery that's opening in Monroe too. So that's kind of an up-and-coming place.
Which is like right next to Athens for those of you guys who aren't geographically.
It's kind of on the road, like when you go to Lawrenceville, Loganville on 78, then the next big quote-unquote town is Monroe before you hit Athens. So it's kind of like on that way.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to open ours in Monroe?
We can do that.
Yeah, well, we can do that.
Okay, cool.
I'm down with that.
We'll do it.
It's closer to Gwinnett County, which is good for us.
We should find somebody who can actually brew beer. That would be the big problem.
I was just going to mix all the beers we had today into a giant keg and just kind of sell that.
Well, you're the crafted consulting guy. So
back in the day, like when you went to 7-Eleven, you just put like one splash of each one.
There you go.
You do the same thing. Just work with that. Actually, I've got a good friend of mine, Andrew Cooper, who is a phenomenal home brewer. And I've been bugging him for the past 5 years to open his own spot. So Andrew, if you're listening,
Andrew,
it's time.
Let's do it.
Yes, exactly.
Let's do it.
Exactly.
Bears, Birds, and Brews, stamp of approval right there.
Here we go. I mean, us four together.
Oh, totally could do it. And
building a job. 4 of us. That's 4 separate bots together as one bot, like Ultron.
Yes. We all kind of come through. Like I'm
the
red one, so
Aaron will do the marketing. Bill will do the tasting.
Drinking.
I will do the name creating, and then you just do the brewing. That's a solid operation right there.
Someone's got to sell it,
Well, the beer will sell itself. Yeah.
Oh, that's how. Okay, that's how it works.
That's the secret recipe right there.
And,
the beer will sell itself.
So when me and Asif are on sync, that means that we have gone too far, and that we need to wrap up.
Okay, so last things last. Ironically enough, once again, tell the people who you are and what you're representing. And we'll go from
where they can find you.
Hey, Aaron Williams. I am Crafted Consulting. Like I said, I'm doing marketing solutions for small businesses, especially the craft beer industry. Social media, website, product launches, all that kind of fun stuff that you just don't have time for, but you need some help with. And you need
especially right now.
Right now, especially as we're going to kind of coming out of COVID-19. you got to raise your hand. You got to kind of say that, hey, I exist. I'm here and I'm awesome. Come visit me. Craftedconsulting.com. That's crafted-consulting.com. Or you can hit me up at Aaron, AARON, at craftedconsulting.com. So,
And on social media?
Social media, same thing. Crafted Consulting on the Insta, on the Facebooks. I try to stay off of Twitter because I hate Twitter. But other than that, we should be good. So
I'm sliding your DMs right now, bro.
you could? Okay, cool.
right.
I'll look it up in like 6 months from now.
Yes.
All right. And then we got the plug.
Yep.
Any sports predictions before we sign off?
The Mariners will not win the World Series.
Better one. Who is going to win the NFC West next year? Because I feel like that is the underrated, like hardest division in football. Maybe next to NFC South.
I honestly, again, I'm going to be homer here, and I'm going to say the Seahawks squeak it out over the 49ers.
Okay.
But I think all teams have done well. I think the Cardinals are going to make some noise.
I think so as well. I
don't think they've got all the horses to compete for the championship of the NFC West, but they're going to come up and bite some people. I'm thinking an 8, 9, 10 win season for those.
Give
guys.
it a year or two, and those Kyler Murray versus Russell Wilson matchups are going to be prime time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the NFC West is going to be really one to watch over the next 3 or 4 years because I think it's just those 3 teams are loaded for bear.
Fingers crossed.
My way too early prediction, I got the Cardinals winning the division. I had 49ers last year. I got Cardinals this year.
Yeah, I don't. I can see where you're coming from on that one. That's fine.
For what it's worth, I got the Seahawks. So there you go. Once again, this is Bears, Birds, and Brews. Y'all know us at Bears, Birds, and Brews. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music.
At Crafted Consulting.
Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and then Crafted Consulting with Mr. Aaron Williams. We got more beer to finish up, but this show is over. Sign up, subscribe.
You don't have to stop listening, but you can watch the next episode.
Oh, yeah. We'll see y'all next time. Thank y'all very much. See ya.